So good.
Lancaster!
Welcome, goodies. Hey, that's you. I'm Jason Mundock, and this is the inaugural episode of the So Good Lancaster podcast. We are on a mission at So Good Lancaster to tap into what makes living in Lancaster, Pennsylvania so freaking good. Dare I say cool, awesome, excellent, dope. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Lancaster County, founded on May 10th, 1729, it was one of the first counties created beyond Pennsylvania's original three. Those are our neighbors to the east, Chester, Bucks, and Philadelphia. Lancaster City, originally named Hickorytown. It was laid out in 1734, incorporated as a borough in 1742, and finally chartered as a city on March 10th, 1818. Now you know. It's been around for a long time, and that gives us quite a bit of history and tradition. The influence of the Plain communities, the Amish, the Mennonites, that can't be understated. Hans Herr and a group of Swiss Mennonites settled in Lancaster County in 1710. That's over 300 years ago. We have covered bridges, horses and buggies, and shoe-fly pie. We were the home of James Buchanan, the 15th U.S. president, and Thaddeus Stevens, a radical abolitionist and passionate anti-slavery voice during the Civil War. We were even the capital of the United States for a single day, on September 27, 1777. There's a lot of history in Lancaster. A lot. But Lancaster is also here and now. That history and the tradition of welcoming those fleeing persecution has given Lancaster the nickname Refugee Capital of America. We are a melting pot, a rich tapestry of cultures. That, combined with a long-standing heritage of agriculture, has led to quite a foodie scene, with a plethora of farm-to-table restaurants and an unbelievable array of international cuisine. And that scene is anchored by Lancaster Central Market, which was founded in 1730. It's the oldest continuously operating farmers market in the United States. We have a thriving arts and culture scene with galleries located throughout the city and county, public art installations, and street murals. We have live music venues all across the county, from nightclubs attracting national acts to small DIY venues and found spaces. We have Rock Lidditz, a global live entertainment hub right here in Lancaster County. And we have the Fulton Theater, which is reportedly the oldest continuously operating theater in the United States. That's another one. We have a flourishing small business community. As of just a few years ago, 99% of businesses in Lancaster County were considered small businesses, and roughly 50% of all Lancaster County employees work for small businesses. They're a huge part of our local economy. We have manufacturing, technology, tourism, and a ton of badass architecture, thanks to a guy named Urban. I could go on, and I kind of will as this podcast unfolds. But today, as we kick things off, we're talking to some of our friends about what they think makes Lancaster so good. We've got Beatrice, who grew up partly in Honduras, but mostly in Ephrata, appreciating the diversity of Lancaster County and all that comes with it.
I really appreciate seeing how diverse it is in some ways.
There's Diggs, a carless former New Yorker who loves the city's walkability.
And I'm just like, you know what? I pretty much walk everywhere anyway, so let's just give this a try.
Kendra, a relative newcomer who celebrates our unity around supporting local business, her favorite coffee shops, and how Lancaster embraces change.
Because people in Lancaster would be like, we don't have enough bike lanes. And then the people who are in charge of the city would say, okay, we got to get more bike lanes. And then I'm like, that's crazy.
And Jamie, a Puerto Rican transplant who came to Lancaster as a kid. Jamie loves the strong sense of community that Lancaster offers.
But if there's one thing that I always think about, what's drawn me to stay here has been the people.
So Good Lancaster is powered by the Candy Factory, also known as TCF, a co-working and social club in downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania. ClubTCF.com. Check it out. It's time. This is
So Good.
So good.
So Good Lancaster.
I'm Jamie Arroyo, born in Puerto Rico and came to Lancaster City back when I was about 2 years old as a toddler.
So you weren't driving the car into the city?
No, I wasn't. Absolutely not, no.
Jamie is the CEO of Assets, a community-focused nonprofit that helps entrepreneurs and businesses thrive by providing training, financing, and business consulting to drive economic growth and create a positive social and environmental impact.
Yep, McCaskey grad, class of '06.
Can you describe one thing in particular that you really love about Lancaster?
Yeah, when I think about Lancaster City and what has drawn me to stay here, because a lot of young people have a tendency to look at big cities as, the place to go to, especially if you grew up here in Lancaster City. But if there's one thing that I always think about, what's drawn me to stay here has been the people. Lancaster City is somewhere that's special, that there's a sense of community, still an area where you can build strong relationships with your neighbors. And I feel that that's gotten harder and harder as I've gotten older. So to be able to still maintain relationships with neighbors and community members, no matter how frequent you talk to them, that's something that's been really special for me here in Lancaster City.
Do you think that growing up and going to McCaskey has influenced your wanting to stay in the area, like having those roots?
Yeah. I think, going to McCaskey has helped me want to reinvest back into my community. So, when I grow up and, now you're starting your career and you're starting your family and you see a lot of the folks that you went to high school with, middle school with, and, you think about how do I reinvest in my community to help them? Because you know the people that you're impacting. So that's always been something really cool to think about, the folks that I cross paths with and, the various hats that I wear that it's just like, I went to high school with him or her and, they were in my social studies class and they were the class clown. And here we are, talking about starting a business. That's really special.
My name is Kendra Wolf, and I have moved to Lancaster in 2020 to stay inside during a pandemic on Orange Street.
Did you move before the lockdown?
A month before. So that's why I say I moved here a month before the pandemic so that I could sit in my new apartment on Orange Street.
Wow. Kendra is an entrepreneur who creates tours and custom experiences in Lancaster City. Her company, Unique Lancaster Experiences, is the only certified Black-owned tourism company in central Pennsylvania.
I moved here to do mission work at Water Street and go to Lancaster Bible College. I like that Lancaster is extremely community-oriented. If a new business is going to come into town and open up, there's signs on the windows, there's Instagram posts, there's ribbon cuttings, the community rallies heavy to welcome new businesses and to help them get off to a good start.
It is small business centric.
Mm-hmm.
Do you contrast that to other places you've been?
Yes. Moved here from Utah, Hawaii, Colorado, Tennessee, Mississippi. I've never lived in any place that is as community-centric as Lancaster.
Robert Diggs. I technically moved to Lancaster to go to Franklin and Marshall College in 2009, but I don't count that as actually living here because you're in a bubble.
Diggs is a senior associate at a national talent strategy firm and the co-host of the Candy Factory 5x5 podcast with yours truly.
So I say my official adult Lancaster date is December 2014 when I got my first apartment.
Oh, it's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're coming up on that.
Wow. This is 25 years this year that I've lived in Lancaster County.
25 years of Mundock.
It's almost half my life.
Wow, yeah.
It's the place I have lived longest in my life, which makes me kind of from here. And because my kids were both born and raised here and they're now in their 20s, so this is all they've known as home, it kind of makes it home for me too. How would you describe something that you love about Lancaster?
I would say the walkability of it. In the recent past, I've decided to go carless. The market wasn't making sense, and I think we were still in the chip shortage at that point, or at the tail end of the chip shortage. And I was just like, what? I pretty much walk everywhere anyway, so let's just give this a try. And yeah, and if I really need to do, a big grocery shop, where I physically need to be in the store, sure, I can Uber or whatnot, but I can also DoorDash it, or I can, sign up for one of those other services or whatnot. The ability to walk to a place like Candy Factory to get work done and not be at home, ability to walk to restaurants and bars to hang out with friends and have a pretty wide choice of things to do within those, the restaurant scene, the bar scene, the cultural art scene. Having things that pop up like Art Walk or every first Friday.
Right.
Yeah. And then also, being able to walk to the train station and being from New York and having access to Amtrak to get back to see family is really, really clutch.
I'm Beatrice Zorilla. I grew up in Ephrata in Lancaster County, and for a few of those years of my childhood, I lived in Honduras and came back to the same school district.
How was that? Do you look back fondly on that childhood experience?
I have fond memories of my childhood.
Beatrice is a freelance designer and photographer, a world traveler, illustrator, and collage enthusiast.
I remember definitely having a different perspective coming back from Honduras, knowing some people in my class, but also seeing that everyone goes through middle school and then comes out a different person.
So you did middle school in Honduras.
I did, yeah.
Can you describe something for me that you really like about Lancaster?
I really appreciate seeing how diverse it is in some ways for it being in Pennsylvania. So there was a Colombian bakery on Queen Street, and I have really happy childhood memories of going there and getting like pan de bono and like other Colombian staples. They're no longer there. I think he retired, but having that in central PA where everything is presented as Amish and Mennonite, that was special. And of course now there's Southern Market with all these different options,
and that is an amazing part of this being from this area or living in this area is the access to things that you wouldn't think you have access to from the outside.
Yeah, and even geographically understanding or seeing that we're connected to Philly and New York and Baltimore and D.C.
What about Lancaster keeps you here?
What draws me to Lancaster is definitely the people that I know, and also seeing the welcoming personalities of newer communities. I mean, Lancaster is a refugee capital, and I like seeing people that care about taking care of like Mother Nature.
I love Lancaster because of an urban center that's accessible, but also rural beauty surrounding it.
The thrifting here is amazing.
I love the old bricks.
If you have workplace flexibility and can work from anywhere, you probably know how lonely it can get working all day, every day in the same building where you sleep, i.e. your house. TCF Co-working and Social Club in Lancaster is the solution. Get out of the house, work around other humans in real life, and get social with a ton of clubs, activities, and events. TCF offers community, full-time, and private office memberships and day passes if you're just passing through town. Check out clubtcf.com, book a tour, and get plugged in. Do you have a favorite establishment or a couple of establishments you like to frequent downtown?
Oh, yeah, this is going to get controversial. So in my line of work, I have to,
share the love.
Share the love. If I were to say my favorite coffee spot, it's Passenger. Coffee's amazing, and just the vibe in there is definitely fits my minimalist, appeal, and lots of sunlight. It's smaller and cozy, so I like that feeling. So Passenger Cafe is probably my favorite coffee spot. Favorite food spot? That's tough.
Doesn't have to be just one.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the right answer because so I work out of Southern Market, so all the food stands there are amazing and take half my paycheck every time just for lunch. I love, Latin cuisine. A Rincon Ponceño downtown is a great spot if you want some Latin cuisine. I'm a big fan of Shine Bottle. They actually have a really good brunch, which I don't know if too many people know that, but that's another thing. Big brunch guy. So Bread Peddler, Rachel's Creperie. Love visiting those spots for brunch.
I feel like the most controversial favorite that you can have in Lancaster City is a coffee shop because we have so many coffee shops. Everybody has a favorite, and that is the most, don't even start talking about favorite coffee shops in Lancaster unless you want the whole room to explode into your conversation. Yeah.
So do you have one?
So I would say my favorite coffee shop in Lancaster for the sole purpose of drinking coffee and getting caffeinated energy is Square One Coffee. My favorite coffee shop in terms of aesthetic and comfort and, relaxation was Neighbors Cafe. And so it's just like different strokes, different folks. The fact that Starbucks even lasts here is asinine to me. It's crazy to me that they even exist here.
That is
successfully.
True. That is true, because when the rumors came out that Starbucks was moving into downtown, it was sort of like, what? That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
Because we have these established, it's one thing to have nothing, or to have that one place on the edge of town that nobody, maybe people don't like the owner or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that one place, and you're stuck with it. But we have just such a variety.
Yeah.
Already, and then to throw Starbucks into the mix is kind of goofy. How about adult beverage establishments? Do you have a favorite?
I mean, I guess the Exchange has really amazing views, and I mean, the drink can go with the view, but I like beer. I like craft high-gravity stouts over 8% ABV, preferably like imperial stouts made by a brewery. So I feel like that's few and far between in terms of like local breweries in the city. But, Springhouse does it really, really well. I love Springhouse for that. And they have games. Who doesn't love games?
The Fridge, even though I haven't been there as much of late, it is different when I used to live right around the corner, and it was practically my living room. Decades is up there, preferably after the children go home. And sorry to my friends with children, it's just if I'm going to be trying to play some video games or bowling or whatnot, it's just very tinny in there, and your children have very high-pitched voices.
You'd rather do it around grown-ups.
I would. And sometimes, not all grown-ups. Sometimes I don't want to be there on a Saturday night, Friday night either, because the grown-ups are not any better. But, bang for your buck in terms of, like, good drinks, good food, good folks that work there. Love going to Square One for coffee. Well, I would do Passenger over Square One if I really want to just sit and be, like, in a quiet-ish environment.
Be at one with the coffee.
Yeah, to be at one with my, AeroPress that I had them make for me. Proof is up there as a, if you want a good cocktail experience around town. Conway Social Club is coming back up as well for that. 211 for pizza.
I love 211 for
saying
pizza.
This as a New Yorker, the hand toss, which is just a regular pizza, if you don't know the term, it's really good. It's really consistently good. There are other good pizzas around town, but 211 is the one I will recommend people go to if you want something as close to New York as you can get. And the Detroit-style pizza is good, too. I will give them that.
Let me ask you a question about New York. Can you get a good bagel in Lancaster?
Round Breads is pretty good, yeah. So, yes.
Round Breads is a top-notch bagel. This is coming from a New Yorker.
Yeah, no, it is undeniably a really good bagel. Yeah, at Round Breads.
If I have time off on a Saturday, I enjoy going to Southern Market and then wandering through random shops that I find. I enjoy going to Copper Cup. I actually was just there this morning. I often go there sometimes to sketch with a friend, and I appreciate that they have parking there in the in the actual coffee shop, and also the bright windows allows for a better collaborative workspace. The Candy Factory.
It's a great place.
Yeah, it's a great place. I really appreciated meeting a lot of different people from different fields and different walks of life and easily connecting with them. I think one thing I appreciate about Lancaster, especially with TCF and this co-working space, is people are very willing to connect with you and help you if you ask. There's other urban spaces where people are definitely more self-centered and focused and driven. And I think here people are definitely dedicated to what they care about, but they're also excited to extend a hand and say, hey, I want to help you with this aspect of your project, or, let's connect about this, or...
Yeah, it's very collaborative.
Very collaborative.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do any outdoor stuff?
If you want a relaxing journal, watercolor, artsy, solo date kind of day, I definitely recommend the county park, because there's the different parking areas, there's different picnic areas, and it's big enough that
yeah, you can kind of get lost in it.
Yeah, you can.
For sure.
You can.
It's a great resource we have that maybe doesn't get a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. It's a beautiful park.
Beautiful, yeah, and really well maintained.
Are you looking for the perfect space for your next meeting, media project, or private event? Well, TCF has you covered. Our conference rooms are perfect for meetings with your team or your clients. Our media studio can accommodate photography, audio, and video production. And our 6th-floor venue has everything you need to throw an unforgettable private party or retreat. Book now at lancastervenue.com and take your next event to the next level. Hey there, goodies. We want to hear from you. What do you think makes Lancaster so good? Whether it's our vibrant community, beautiful landscapes, delicious food, or unique events, we want to know what you love most about Lancaster. That's not all. If you have any fun announcements you'd like us to share on the show, we're all ears. Birthdays, local happenings, new business openings, you name it. If it's good, we want to spread the word. Head over to SoGoodLancaster.com and submit your comments. Your thoughts and announcements could be featured on an upcoming episode of the podcast. Thank you for being part of our So Good Lancaster family.
I like that the people here actually like it here. They're not always saying, "Oh man, this place sucks," or "I can't wait to move." Everyone's like, "Hey, welcome. Look at this thing. Look at this great food thing. This thing just opened up."
People seem to care more about community here than other places that I've been.
What I love about Lancaster is it's a melting pot of so many different people, and it's a beautiful place to be. And there's good food.
If you're a new person who just moved here, transplant, where do you think are the best places to meet new people?
So if you're talking about places, coffee shops, probably the easiest answer. Just going out, hanging, you meet people that are going there to, read a book and relax, to entrepreneurs that are whipping out their laptops to, get some work done. So there's some cool people that you could meet at a coffee shop, just kind of hanging out there and being observant and kind of seeing some familiar faces throughout the days. But there's a lot of good volunteer groups and young professional groups that Lancaster has. Lancaster Young Professionals, Young Professional Networks with the Chamber, Global Shapers. For me, that was very helpful early on in my career to participate in these different groups because not only do they network, but they also volunteer in the community. And for me, it was a good way to understand not just the people that live here, but what are the organizations that exist in Lancaster, and building that network and giving back in a way was super helpful. So,
the candy factory is probably the place where I have made the most friendships, because I don't just want to meet people and be like, okay, nice to see you, LinkedIn, bye. But I would say the candy factory is where I have made genuine friendships. I see these people at the candy factory outside of here. I would say if you want to meet the most amount of people in a small amount of time, I would say maybe the Lancaster Chamber or something like that. It depends on your motive. Is your motive professional, friendship?
Yeah, right. So from a professional perspective, that's definitely
for sure. Go to a free chamber meeting. They have free ones for subscribers who are not paid members of the chamber. You can just go for free. Just roll up and meet everybody there. And then you'll see them again very soon, because it's a lot of the same people in Lancaster at the professional level that you see going to networking events. So
if you're somebody who enjoys alcoholic beverages, plenty of bars around town to get outside and meet folks. But don't discount the cafes, French Street and Passenger Square One, Mean Cup over by F&M. Southern Market might be a good place as well. Just in terms of being able to be there and hang out. On the food side, you can sample many different types of foods. If you want the pizza, 211 is there.
The Candy Factory. For me, I've heard of it before, considering about joining or even just doing the tour. And then once I was able to see people, I do freelance design now, so seeing other people figuring things out, and also in different stages of growing a business or even just working remotely, I feel like my connections with people have grown thanks to the Candy Factory.
How about tourists who come to visit? If you could recommend one thing to someone who's visiting Lancaster, what would it be?
Visiting Lancaster. So for me, and this is probably such a cop-out answer because I think it is the number one tourist attraction, Central Market. You just got to go there. It is, I feel like it's in this this amazing, beautiful place that's stuck in this time warp or this bubble. Because you go in there and you feel like you're in the 1950s, farmers market, and the diversity of stands and, different types of food. And, you could do your groceries there and get a lunch meal or some dinner for later. That is just such a cool place that I don't think many folks that live outside of Lancaster get to experience. So to me, that's just such an iconic place that folks, if you're visiting Lancaster, you have to go to. And I feel like it's the center of the wheel, so when you kind of go out, there's so many places around Central Market that you're going to run into naturally.
Yeah, it's a great Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Kind of establish yourself and then go do the other things you're going to do, but hit there first.
Exactly. And the energy is so cool. So on a Saturday morning, I mean, that place is packed and downtown is packed. So you definitely get the Lancaster feeling and the Lancaster vibe when you walk by.
Absolutely.
If you come to Lancaster and you go to Central Market, go find the steps by the bathroom and go upstairs and get the view of the market from a little balcony, because I feel like people. Oh, yeah, and you could take an elevator up, so it is accessible too. It's a great little view. Like just take 30 seconds to do that.
I wouldn't normally recommend one of my tours or services, but I would tell somebody, if you have 3 hours, come on my electric bicycle tour, because you're going to get to see so much Lancaster stuff. Like, we play disc golf, we go to the Franklin and Marshall Art Museum, we eat empanadas at Southern Market. Like, you're going to do so much Lancaster things in such a short period of time.
I love Lancaster because it's the perfect small city. There's lots of good food and really great people.
I love the small town feel, but with a vibrant downtown.
What I love about Lancaster is that it's very small and you can walk everywhere and see everything and meet different people.
I love the vibe of Lancaster. It's got kind of an artsy scene. The people are very cool. Just in general, it's a fun place to be.
I think what I love about Lancaster is that it feels like home. So it's very nostalgic, being able to walk down the street and remember things from my childhood and seeing other people enjoy the space as well. I love seeing people enjoy where I grew up.
Anything in particular that you think of that makes Lancaster unique compared to other places you've been or lived?
I think what makes Lancaster unique is you have the access to the agriculture and the nature preserves, and a lot of emphasis on that with the Lancaster Conservancy and all the other initiatives to preserve the area that surrounds the city, but also interest and willingness to have a place that is reflective of, or it could reflect a neighborhood that's growing.
I think one of the things that makes Lancaster unique is that you get this real mix of not just foreign cultures, but other American cultures as well. It's kind of a little mini melting pot if you think about it.
Yeah, and I hope that in the directions that Lancaster is growing, that all communities in Lancaster are able to thrive. I
mean, the confluence of easy access to other major cities. I mean, if you're driving, you can be in D.C. and if there's no traffic in under 2 hours, but probably closer to 2.5 just because of traffic. Baltimore's not far away. Philly's right down the road.
New York, Pittsburgh. I mean, it really,
right.
Yeah.
Not only that, I think this is an underrated selling point. If you do also have to travel like across the country, like Harrisburg Airport is right here. You can connect in Chicago for not that much money than like going to Philly to fly direct to wherever you're trying to go. Like,
absolutely.
There's so many connection points to other places that, if you just take the time to investigate, you'll be able to find pretty quickly. It sounds funny to talk about being able to leave Lancaster, but
it's definitely one of the things that makes this area incredibly unique and a great place to live, frankly.
I think the most unique thing about Lancaster is the commitment to the people who live here. It's seen and it's heard and it's felt. And I think people generally live in a city and they feel pretty neutral about like their legislators or their political, representatives. But like people here like love the people who like represent them in the city for the most part, I find. And that's kind of strange and unique to me because people in Lancaster will be like, we don't have enough bike lanes. And then the people who are in charge of the city say, okay, we got to get more bike lanes. And then I'm like, that's crazy. Like, you don't really see that happening. Like, people in Lancaster can complain about things and then change happens. Like, what is that?
For me, diversity is important. So, a lot of the reason why I stayed in Lancaster City is because there were so many different types of people with different backgrounds that, I'm Puerto Rican. So, I grew up in a Latin household, and then just kind of, meeting folks that, came here from West Africa or, Asia and share their culture with us, whether it's through food or language, and hearing tons of different languages being spoken around. Like, that is just something that has been truly, truly special. And I would say that, that you don't get that too often unless you do go to a bigger city. So for our city to be, tiny but mighty and have that experience, I think is just something so unique and really, really cool about us.
And this, my friends, is merely the tip of the iceberg for what makes Lancaster, Pennsylvania such a great place to live, work, and play. As the podcast unfolds, we'll be exploring all kinds of interesting people, exciting places to visit, and fun stuff to do. We'll dig into the Lancaster food and drink scene, access to arts and culture, entertainment and nightlife options, local resources that focus on health and well-being, and most of all, how we take advantage of all that Lancaster has to offer together as a diverse and vibrant community. Special thanks to Jamie, Kendra, Diggs, and Beatrice for sharing their thoughts and experiences. And thanks to all of our friends at TCF who didn't mind me walking up to them with a microphone to find out what they love about our cool little city. And thank you, goodies, for being a part of our first episode by loaning me your ears for a few minutes. I'm looking forward to many, many more. And I hope you'll let us know you're out there by liking, sharing, and commenting wherever you find us. Stay good, Lancaster. Stay good. So Good Lancaster is produced at So Good Media in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Our production staff is Ann Kirby, Georgia Hall, and Star Snyder, and I do a few things here and there as well. Find us online at SoGoodLancaster.com and follow us on all the socials. Have any comments, questions, or want to learn more about how So Good Media can help you with your podcast and media productions? Drop us a line at hello@sogoodmedia.studio.